The last method we want to look at is called travel cost studies. This method is commonly used to obtain use value for national parks or wilderness areas. The rationale here is that the value people place on a good environmental location, we can infer this from the cost, which include times, incurred in traveling to it. That's why it's called travel cost. Then from here, we can actually derive a demand function, demand curve, and subsequently the consumer surplus. So a demand curve is derived from a relationship derived from the way in which visitation rates vary with travel costs. Okay, let's look at a simple case. Right. Suppose we want to estimate the use value of a national park. First, we are going to assume all visitors to a national park are identical except for their distance from the national park, and hence their travel cost. So there's a variation across the travel costs. And assume consumers react to travel cost as though it was an entry fee or any other types of charge. Then we can measure or we can collect data on the number of visitors to a national park over their years, and we can record where they come from. Some people may come from ACT, some people come from Queensland, so on and so forth. Step 4, we then divide Australia and the world into zones of equal travel costs and find the total population there. Okay, suppose there's a zone of Canberra, and this year, and our record shows that there are 1,000 people coming from Canberra to visit the national park, and then we can calculate, we can obtain the population of Canberra, then divided 1,000 by the population of Canberra to obtain the visitation rate, which is the number of visitors to the national park per 1,000 residents of the region. So we get the data of VI and I for each I index the zones, the equal travel cost zone, equal cost zone. And this is a measure of the demand. We can plot and estimate the visitation rate against travel cost and derive the relationship. For example, like this diagram. So travel cost and is something like the price we have, and the visitation rate is quantity something. So is similar to quantity. So then measure total visitations from all zones for hypothetical cost, which is travel cost plus an entry fee if there's an entry fee. So supposing travel cost and entry fee would be like a price. Estimate this using data. So we might have collected data, something like this, all these data points, and estimate function to fit the data points in the best way. And suppose our estimation is this. Okay, then find V is equal to FP. So remember we have number of population on the left hand side, so we can multiply both sides by NI. Okay, for each regions, then we estimate the total demand and measure the consumer surplus. So get a demand function like this, then calculate the area of the triangles. And the use value of national park for visitors is is estimated by this consumer surplus, the size of these triangles. So to calculate worth of improvements in national park, then we can assess shift in demand curve and change in consumer surplus accordingly. Okay, here's the examples. Coronation Hill travel cost studies. That's done by these two authors, these two researchers. So they collect sample of 1,772 visitors from 1990 surveys of visitors to Kakadu, divided it into 9 equal travel cost zones. So they calculate use values for Kakadu rather than the correlation zones, okay? Because there's no visitor there. So the equation they fit is this. And they estimate according to demand function. This one, consumer surplus, $36.6 per annum in 1991 values, and NPV of consumer surplus in perpetuity is $436 million. If there's 1% growth, then the growing perpetuity would be 523 million. These NPVs of use value tell you the use value damage which will occur if there was a very severe damage to Kakadu as a result of mining at Coronation Hills.